So yeah, when I talk to people outside of academic economic profession, the first thing they tell me is people are not rational. People are just irrational beings, and they're more sold by psychological impetuses than economic rationales. I mean, I completely understand that, but maybe that's not the point. The point is, first of all, to understand what rational behavior is. You know, if we move from individuals to institutions, institutions might be more rational. Larger groups might be more rational, quote unquote, than individuals. But we really want to know what the basic benchmark is. And then we can better understand why we deviate from that benchmark, why we make certain choices than others. And in the same way, business people have their spreadsheets and their models, and they make forecasts and they make decisions based on these forecasts. And these models prove to be important for them. Now, whether they make the decision to invest or not invest, or to do this or not, might have their idiosyncratic reasons, but they first have to know as a benchmark what that strategy should be. So that's how we should think about economics as a discipline, at least how I think about it. But what is really interesting is also we know that economics as a theoretical construct works pretty well when things are normal, at least macroeconomics, but they have proven to be less useful as a benchmark to understand when things don't work so well, like the 2008 financial crisis, like major global pandemic kind of crises, or disequilibrium. So there are gaping holes in the profession. There's no doubt about it. But little by little, the profession advances, and hopefully in a way that is useful for real world problems. So that kind of answers the question as to whether it is useful to society or not. I believe it is, but it can't be, it depends on how it's used. If economic models is used for perfect forecasting, whether about your stocks or about GDP or growth, or whether there's going to be a black swan event, or whether there's going to be the next coming financial crisis, using economic models as a sole basis for these kind of judgments, I think people will be very disappointed. But maybe again, that is not the only purpose that economics as a discipline serves. Not only about predicting the future, because guess what? The world is complex. There are so many dimensions, so many variations, so many variables, including human ones, that one cannot predict based on models. But if an economic mechanism can explain 20, 30% of a phenomenon or 50% of a phenomenon, I think it's very successful, because it tells us why, it tells us how, it tells us, with this mechanism, what's going to happen in the future, but it doesn't give you the full picture. So I think it is useful in so many different ways for society, but it really depends on how it is used and how it is viewed. Now, some other people might exploit these economic models to make forecasts or to take advantage of other people by selling financial products or selling merchandise, by trying to convince them of some inherent black box magic or logic embedded in these economic models. And of course, people can abuse it. Now, a lot of what happened prior to the financial crisis, of building up these risks and mispricing the risks of these assets and adding layers and layers of complexity while not giving a full picture, or not even understand the full picture themselves because they don't see the full scale of the financial model, is something that people have abused for and have created huge negative consequences on society. So it really depends on how it's used.